Ever had a nightmare so real you swore it was happening? Like you could feel every second, but you couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't wake up? My name's Ethan, and I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. About a month ago, I moved into a new apartment in this sketchy part of Chicago, thinking it'd be a fresh start. But something's wrong with this place, or maybe with me. Every night when I try to sleep, I see it. A shadow watching me, whispering stuff I can't make out. I'm telling you this because I'm scared out of my mind, and I need someone to hear me before I can't wake up at all. I found the apartment on a shady rental app, but it was cheap and I was desperate. I just lost my job at a warehouse and my savings were running on fumes. The place was a steal. 3rd floor, 1 bedroom in an old brick building that looked like it hadn't been touched since the 70s. The landlord was this weird old guy who kept muttering about keeping the lights on at night, but I brushed it off. I signed the lease, moved in with my mattress, a couple boxes, and a thrift store lamp and figured I'd make it work. First couple nights were fine. I was exhausted from unpacking, so I crashed hard, no dreams, no nothing. But by the 3rd night, things started getting weird. I've always been a light sleeper, the kind of guy who wakes up if a car backfires a block away. But that night I went down heavy like my body was made of lead. I remember drifting off, staring at the cracked ceiling when I felt this pressure, like someone was sitting on my chest. I tried to move, but I couldn't. My arms, my legs, they were locked like I was strapped down. My eyes were open though, and that's when I saw it. A shadow right at the foot of my bed, tall and blurry like a person, but not. It didn't have a face, just this void where one should have been, and it was staring at me. I could feel it, that heavy, unblinking stare, even though it had no eyes. I tried to scream, but my throat wouldn't work. My heart was hammering, and all I could do was lie there, frozen, while this thing watched me. It didn't move, didn't make a sound at first, but the air got colder, so cold I could see my breath fogging in the dark. Then I heard it, a whisper low and raspy like it was coming from inside my skull. Ethan. My name over and over, slow like it was savoring it. Ethan, you did this. I didn't know what it meant, but it felt like a knife in my gut, like I was guilty of something I couldn't remember. I don't know how long I was stuck like that, but eventually, I jolted awake, gasping for air, my shirt soaked in sweat. The room was empty, the shadow gone, but the cold lingered, clinging to my skin. I checked the clock, 2:37 a.m. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat up, lamp on, scrolling on my phone, trying to shake the feeling that something was still there, just out of sight. I told myself it was a bad dream, maybe sleep paralysis. I'd heard of that before, where your body shuts down but your brain's half awake. But my name, how the hell did I dream my own name in that voice? The next day I was a zombie. I barely made it through a job interview at a coffee shop, my hands shaking so bad I spilled my water. I kept replaying the shadow, the whisper, that feeling of being pinned down. I tried to laugh it off, told myself I was just stressed, new place, new city, all that crap. But deep down, I knew it wasn't normal. That night, I didn't want to sleep. I chugged energy drinks, watched random YouTube videos, anything to stay awake. But around 1 a.m., my eyes started drooping, and I couldn't fight it. I crashed on the couch, thinking maybe a change of spot would help. It didn't. The same thing happened, only worse. That pressure on my chest, my body locked up, my eyes wide open. The shadow was back, but closer this time, standing right by the couch, leaning over me. I could feel its breath, cold and sharp, like it was inches from my face. The whispers were louder, more desperate. Ethan, you can't hide. You did this. I tried to move, to scream, to do anything, but I was stuck, staring into that faceless void. My heart felt like it was going to explode, and the cold was so bad my fingers felt numb. Then it said something new, something that made my blood freeze. Look at the mirror. I didn't want to look, but my eyes moved on their own, darting to the cracked mirror I'd propped against the wall. In the reflection, I saw myself on the couch, frozen, but the shadow wasn't there. Instead, there was something else, writing, scratched into the glass like someone had clawed it in. You did this. I jolted awake, my scream finally breaking free, echoing in the empty apartment. I stumbled to the mirror, my legs barely working, but there was nothing. No writing, no scratches, just my own terrified reflection staring back. I didn't sleep after that. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, staring at the mirror, waiting for something to happen. Nothing did, but the feeling didn't go away. That heavy, watching feeling, like the shadow was still there, just waiting for me to close my eyes. I started Googling, desperate for answers. Sleep paralysis, sure. But the shadow, the whispers, my name, it was too real. I found some forums, people talking about shadow figures and sleep paralysis, calling them hallucinations, but none of them mentioned voices or messages or guilt that felt like it was choking you. By the third night, I was a wreck. I'd called in sick to the coffee shop job I'd barely started, too freaked out to leave the apartment. I tried to nap during the day, thinking maybe the light would keep it away, but every time I drifted off, I felt that pressure, heard that whisper, "Ethan, you did this." I started writing it down, everything the shadow said, in a notebook I found in one of my boxes. I didn't know why, but it felt like I had to. Like if I didn't, I'd lose what little control I had left. The words kept coming, every night, and the shadow kept getting closer, its whispers clearer, like it was trying to tell me something I didn't want to hear. I'm telling you this because I'm scared I'm losing it. I don't know what the shadow wants or what I did, but it's not just a dream. It's real, and it's waiting for me every time I close my eyes. If you've ever had a nightmare that wouldn't let you go, something that felt too real to be just in your head, tell me. Because I need to know I'm not the only one, before I can't wake up anymore. You ever feel like sleep's turned into your worst enemy? Like every time you close your eyes, something's waiting to drag you under? I'm Ethan, and if you caught my last story, you know I'm stuck in this creepy apartment in Chicago, dealing with a shadow that shows up when I can't move. It whispers my name, says I did this, and last time, it scratched "you did this" into my mirror. Or at least, that's what I saw in my head. I'm a wreck, barely holding it together, and I'm telling you this because I'm running out of time. Whatever that shadow is, it's not letting me go, and I need someone to hear me before I'm stuck for good. After that third night, I was a zombie. My eyes were so heavy I could barely keep them open, and my hands shook like I'd had too much coffee, which I had, trying to stay awake. I hadn't slept more than an hour in days, crashing on the couch or the floor, anywhere but my bed, hoping it'd keep the shadow away. But it didn't. Every time I drifted off, that pressure hit, pinning me down, and there it was. Taller, closer, its faceless shape looming over me. The whispers were louder too, like it was getting impatient. "Ethan, you can't hide." You know, I didn't know what I was supposed to know, but it felt like a memory I couldn't grab, slipping through my fingers. I couldn't keep living like that. I was missing job shifts at the coffee shop, my new gig, and the landlord was texting me about rent I couldn't pay. I had to figure out what was going on, or I'd end up on the street, or worse, stuck in that shadow's grip forever. So I started digging. The apartment was old, built in the 60s, and the landlord's weird comment about keeping the lights on stuck with me. I figured the building might have a history, something that could explain the shadow. I grabbed my phone, turned on the Wi-Fi, and started searching online. Property records, local news, anything about 1423 North Clark Street. It took hours scrolling through blurry PDFs and sketchy forums, but I found something. A news article from 1972 buried in the Chicago Tribune archives talked about a fire at the building. Some guy, a night watchman named Harold, had died in his sleep, smoke inhalation they said, while the place was under construction. The article said he'd been acting strange before it happened, muttering about voices and shadows in his room. My stomach dropped. Voices, shadows, sounded way too familiar. Another post on some creepy local history blog mentioned rumors of haunted apartments on that block, with tenants reporting sleep paralysis and figures watching them. One comment said a guy moved out after seeing his name scratched into his wall. I checked my mirror again, running my fingers over the glass, nothing, but I couldn't shake the feeling it had been real. That night, I didn't want to sleep, but my body gave out around midnight. I was on the floor, lamp on, notebook open, scribbling every word the shadow said. "Ethan, you did this, you can't hide." When the pressure hit again, my body locked up, my eyes forced open, and there it was, right beside me, its shape bending like it was made of smoke. The cold was brutal, freezing my lungs, and the whisper was so clear it felt like it was inside me. "Ethan, look under the floor." I didn't wanna, but my head turned, slow, toward the loose floorboard I'd noticed under the couch. The shadow leaned closer, its void face inches from mine, and hissed, "You buried it." I jolted awake, gasping, my heart pounding like a drum. The lamp was flickering and the notebook was filled with more of that jagged handwriting I didn't write. "You buried it," scrawled over and over. My hands were shaking as I grabbed a screwdriver from my toolbox and pried up the floorboard. Underneath was a small metal box, rusted, like it had been there forever. My breath caught. I didn't remember putting it there. I'd only moved in a month ago, but it felt like mine, like I'd always known it was there. I opened it with trembling fingers, and inside was a photo, faded and creased, of a man who looked like me, standing in front of this building, holding a lantern. On the back in shaky handwriting, Harold, 1972. I dropped the box like it burned me. Harold? The night watchman from the fire? How was his photo in my floor? My head was spinning and the cold spot was back, stronger, like the shadow was right there, watching me figure it out. I started Googling again, frantic, and found an obituary. Harold James, 42, died in the fire, survived by his wife and a son. No mention of a cause, just tragic accident. But a forum thread caught my eye. Someone claiming Harold's death wasn't an accident, that he'd been cursed after finding something in the building, something he hid. My stomach twisted. The box, the photo, it had to be connected. I didn't sleep that night. I sat with the box, the photo, and my notebook trying to piece it together. The shadow kept coming back, every time I nodded off, whispering the same thing. "You buried it, you know." And I started to wonder if it wasn't just my imagination. What if I'd done something, buried something, and didn't remember? The idea freaked me out, but it stuck, like a splinter I couldn't pull. The next day I called the landlord, pretending I was curious about the building's history. He got cagey, muttering about bad vibes and how the third floor was trouble since the fire. He wouldn't say more, but it was enough to know I was onto something. That night I was exhausted, my body screaming for sleep, but I fought it. I set up my phone to record audio, thinking maybe I could catch the whispers, prove I wasn't crazy. Around 2 a.m., I crashed, and the pressure hit again. The shadow was there, taller, its shape more defined, like it was solidifying. The cold was unbearable, and the whisper was a shout in my head. "Ethan, you killed him. You buried it." My eyes darted to the floorboard, and in the dim light I saw something new. Scratches, fresh, forming words on the wood. "Harold." I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, just stared as the shadow leaned closer, its void face filling my vision. I woke up screaming, the phone still recording. I played it back, my hands shaking, and there it was, my voice panting, then a low, raspy whisper, clear as day. "You killed him." No static, no distortion, just that voice. My stomach churned. I didn't kill anyone. I'd never even heard of Harold before yesterday. But the photo, the box, the scratches, they were telling me something I didn't want to believe. I checked the floorboard again, and the scratches were gone, but the cold lingered, like the shadow was still there, waiting. I'm telling you this because I'm losing it. The shadow's not just watching, it's accusing me, tying me to something I don't understand. That box, that photo, those whispers, they're pulling me into a past that isn't mine. Or maybe it is, and I've blocked it out. I can't stop sleeping, can't stop seeing it, and every night it gets worse. If you've ever had a dream that felt like a memory, something that made you question who you are, tell me. Because I need to know I'm not alone. before the shadow takes me for good. You ever feel like your own mind's playing tricks on you, like it's hiding something you don't want to face? I'm Ethan, and if you've been with me so far, you know I'm stuck in this creepy apartment in Chicago, where a shadow shows up every time I try to sleep. It whispers my name, says I killed someone named Harold, and last time I found a photo of him in a box under my floor. I'm freaking out, barely hanging on, and I'm telling you this because I'm running out of time. The shadow's digging into my head, pulling up stuff I don't recognize, and I need someone to hear me before I lose what's left of myself. After that fourth night, I was a mess. My eyes were sunken, my hands trembled like I had the shakes, and I hadn't eaten anything solid in days. Just coffee and whatever snacks I could grab without leaving the apartment. The photo of Harold, that rusty box, and the notebook with "You killed him" scrawled in it were spread across my kitchen floor, staring back at me like a puzzle I couldn't solve. I kept hearing that whisper, even when I was awake, a faint rasp in my ears. Ethan, you buried it, and it was driving me nuts. I didn't kill anyone, I didn't bury anything. But the shadow kept saying it, and that cold feeling, like it was right behind me, wouldn't go away. I had to know more. The landlord wouldn't spill anything useful, so I hit the streets, asking around the neighborhood. Old guys at the corner store gave me weird looks, but one, a grizzled dude with a cigarette hanging off his lip, muttered about the building being cursed since the fire. He said Harold's wife, Clara, blamed the place for his death, claiming he'd been taken by something in his sleep. She moved out after the funeral, left everything behind, and the apartment sat empty for years. My stomach churned. Taken? Like the shadow was taking me. I thanked the guy, slipped him a $5 and headed back, my mind racing. Back home, I dove deeper online. I found an old obit for Clara James, died in '95, but no mention of kids or where she went. Then I hit pay dirt, a digitized police report from '72, barely legible, about the fire. It said Harold was found in his room, no smoke damage, just gone, like he'd vanished mid-breath. The report mentioned a strange mark on the floor, a circle with scratches, and a lantern found near his body. My heart skipped. The photo, Harold holding a lantern. I checked the box again, and there it was, tucked under the photo. A small, blackened lantern, no bigger than my fist. I didn't remember seeing it before, but it felt familiar, like I'd touched it 100 times. That night I couldn't avoid sleep anymore. My body gave out around 1 a.m. and the pressure hit like a truck. My limbs locked, my eyes popped open, and the shadow was there, closer than ever, its shape almost solid, with edges that flickered like static. The cold was suffocating and the whisper was a growl. Ethan, you saw it. You did it. I tried to fight, to scream, but my head turned on its own toward the lantern on the floor. The shadow leaned in, its void face filling my vision, and the room shifted. I wasn't in my apartment anymore. I was in a dark, smoky room watching a man, Harold, lying on a cot, his chest still, his eyes open but empty. Then I saw myself standing over him holding the lantern, my hands shaking as I scratched a circle into the floor. I jolted awake, gasping, my heart pounding so hard I thought it had burst. The lantern was in my hand, warm, like it had been burning, and the notebook was open, filled with that jagged handwriting. You saw it. You did it. But now it had more. The circle binds you. My head was spinning. That vision, it couldn't be real. I'd never been in that room, never met Harold, but it felt like a memory, raw and sharp, like I'd lived it and buried it deep. I dropped the lantern, my hands shaking, and checked the floor. No circle, no scratches, just the same cracked wood. But the cold lingered and the shadow's presence was heavier, like it was pleased I couldn't let it go. The next day I tracked down a library with old Chicago records, dragging myself there on no sleep. I found blueprints of the building, and there it was, a third-floor room marked with a circle labeled Harold's Watch. The note said it was where he stayed during construction, and after the fire the room was sealed off. Except it wasn't, because I was living in it. My apartment. The librarian, a quiet woman with glasses, noticed my shaking hands and asked if I was okay. I mumbled something about a school project and bolted, the blueprints clutched to my chest. That night I was a wreck. I set up my phone to record again, placed the lantern on the floor and tried to stay awake. But around 2 a.m., my eyes drooped, and the pressure hit. The shadow was there, towering, its shape almost human now, with long arms that stretched toward me. The cold was unbearable, and the whisper was a scream in my skull. "Ethan, you made the circle. You trapped him." My vision blurred, and I was back in that smoky room watching myself scratch the circle, the lantern glowing, Harold's body still. But this time I saw more. My hands weren't mine, they were older, scarred, and I heard a voice, my voice saying, "I'm sorry, I had to." I woke up screaming, the phone recording, the lantern glowing faintly on the floor. I played it back and there it was, my voice, panting, then a deep, raspy, "You trapped him," followed by a laugh that wasn't mine. My stomach dropped. The circle, the lantern, the vision, it was tying me to Harold's death, but how? I didn't live in the 70s, I wasn't there. But the shadow kept showing me and the notebook kept writing it. Like my hand was betraying me. I checked the floor again and this time there it was. A faint circle scratched into the wood, too perfect to be an accident. I'm telling you this because I'm losing my grip. The shadow's not just a dream. It's rewriting my past, making me see things I can't explain. That circle, that lantern, Harold's death. It's all connected and it's pulling me in. I can't stop sleeping, can't stop seeing it. And every night it gets clearer, like I'm becoming part of it. If you've ever had a memory that didn't feel like yours, something that made you doubt your own life, tell me. Because I need to know I'm not alone, before the shadow takes me back to that room. You ever feel like your life's been hijacked by something you can't control, like you're living someone else's story? I'm Ethan, and if you've been sticking with me, you know I'm trapped in this haunted apartment in Chicago, where a shadow haunts my sleep. It's accusing me of killing Harold, showing me visions of his death. And last time, I found a circle scratched into my floor that wasn't there before. I'm losing my mind, barely holding on, and I'm telling you this because I'm running out of time. The shadow's rewriting my past, making me see things I can't shake, and I need someone to hear me before I'm gone for good. After that 5th night, I was a shell. My face was gaunt, my hands shook like I'd been wired to a live socket, and I hadn't slept more than a few minutes in days. The lantern, the photo, the notebook with "You trapped him" scrawled in it. They were my whole world now, scattered around me like a crime scene. The circle on the floor stared up at me, faint but real, and every time I looked at it, that cold feeling hit, like the shadow was breathing down my neck. The vision of Harold's death, me standing over him with the lantern, kept replaying, but it didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a memory I'd buried, one I didn't want to dig up. I couldn't ignore it anymore. The shadow was tying me to Harold and that circle, that lantern. They were the key. I spent the day researching, my eyes burning as I scrolled through every scrap of info I could find. I dug into old census records and found a Harold James, born 1930, lived on North Clark Street with his wife Clara. No kids listed, but a nephew, Ethan James, born 1995. My heart stopped. Ethan James, my name, my birth year. I checked my driver's license, my birth certificate in the box from my move. Ethan James, born May 17th, 1995, Chicago. It was me. Or was it? My parents never mentioned a nephew, never talked about family history. But the coincidence was too wild to brush off. I called my mom that afternoon, my voice shaky as I asked about our family tree. She got quiet, then laughed it off, saying we didn't have any close relatives named Harold or Clara. But when I pushed, she hesitated, muttering something about a distant uncle who died in a fire, someone her parents didn't like to talk about. She hung up fast, leaving me with more questions than answers. My head was spinning. Was I related to Harold? Was the shadow showing me his life? Or mine? The lantern in my hand felt heavier, like it was pulling me into something I couldn't escape. That night I was too tired to fight sleep. I set up my phone again, placed the lantern in the circle, and crashed on the floor, hoping to catch more evidence. Around 2 a.m., the pressure slammed me down, my body locked, my eyes forced open. The shadow was there, massive, its shape almost human, with long, twisted arms that reached for me. The cold was like ice in my veins, and the whisper was a roar. "Ethan, you are him. You did it." My vision shifted, and I was back in that smoky room, but this time I was Harold. I felt his fear, his breath, as Ethan, stood over him, scratching the circle, the lantern glowing. My hands were old, scarred, and I heard myself say, "It's the only way," before the smoke took him. I woke up choking, the lantern hot in my hand, the notebook open with more jagged writing. "You are him, you did it," and a new line, "The circle holds you." My chest heaved as I stared at the floor. The circle was deeper now, the scratches glowing faintly, like they were alive. The phone recorded it all. My gasps, then a deep raspy "You are him," followed by a laugh that echoed in my skull. I played it again, my hands trembling, and the voice sounded like mine, but older, broken. My stomach turned. Was I Harold? Had I lived his life, died in that fire, and somehow come back? I couldn't let it go. The next day, I hit the library again, begging the librarian for help. She pulled out a microfiche of old newspapers and found a follow-up article from '72. A witness claimed Harold was possessed before the fire, talking to himself about a cycle and a promise. The article mentioned a nephew, Ethan, who vanished after the funeral, presumed dead. My breath caught. Vanished? I checked the date, May 18th, 1995, the day after my birthday. The same day my parents said I was born at home, no hospital records. My head swam. Was I that Ethan? Had I been reborn, cursed to repeat Harold's death? That night, I was a wreck. I sat in the circle, the lantern glowing, the photo of Harold, me, staring back. I didn't want to sleep, but my body betrayed me around 1:30 a.m. The pressure hit. The shadow loomed, its arms wrapping around me like chains. The cold was everywhere, and the whisper was a scream. "Ethan, you promised you'll stay." My vision blurred, and I was Harold again, lying on the cot, watching myself. Ethan scratched the circle, the lantern shaking. But this time, I saw my face, young, terrified, as I said, "I'll fix it," before the smoke closed in. Then I was back, the circle glowing brighter, the shadow's void face inches from mine. I woke up screaming, the lantern searing my hand, the notebook filled with, "You promised you'll stay." The circle was etched deep now, unremovable, and the cold was permanent, like the shadow was part of me. The phone caught it all, my scream, then a soft, "You'll stay," in my voice fading into static. My heart pounded. I didn't know what I'd promised, but it felt true, like a vow I'd broken. The shadow wasn't just haunting me, it was me, or I was it, and the circle was keeping us together. I'm telling you this because I'm breaking. The shadow's showing me a life I don't remember, a death I can't escape. That circle, that lantern, Harold's face, it's all me, and I'm trapped in it. I can't stop sleeping, can't stop seeing it, and every night it pulls me deeper. If you've ever felt like you're living someone else's nightmare, like your past isn't yours, tell me. Because I need to know I'm not alone, before the shadow makes me stay forever. You ever feel like you're fighting a losing battle, like no matter what you do, it's already over? I'm Ethan, and if you've been riding this nightmare with me, you know I'm trapped in this cursed apartment in Chicago, where a shadow's taken over my sleep. It says I'm Harold, that I killed him, and last time it showed me memories of his death. My death, with that damn circle glowing on my floor. I'm falling apart, barely hanging on, and I'm telling you this because I'm running out of time. The shadow's got me in its grip, and I need someone to hear me before I can't fight back anymore. After that 6th night, I was a ghost of myself. My skin was pale, my hands shook like I'd been zapped, and I hadn't slept more than a few minutes in a week. The lantern, the photo, the notebook with, "You promised, you'll stay," scribbled all over. They were my whole life now, sitting in that glowing circle like some messed up altar. The cold was constant, seeping into my bones, and the shadow's whisper echoed even when I was awake. "Ethan, you are him." I couldn't take it. I had to do something, anything, to break free before it swallowed me whole. I figured the lantern was the key. It showed up with Harold's photo, glowed during the visions, and felt alive in my hands. Maybe it was what tied me to him, or what I'd used to trap him, or be trapped by him. I remembered the police report, the witness saying Harold was possessed before the fire, talking about a cycle and a promise. What if the lantern was the cycle, and breaking it could end this? I didn't have a plan, just desperation, so I grabbed a hammer from my toolbox, set the lantern on the kitchen counter, and stared at it. The metal was warm, the star etched on it pulsing faintly, like it knew what I was about to do. That night I was too wired to sleep, but my body crashed around 1 a.m. I set up my phone to record, the hammer in one hand, the lantern in the circle, and let the pressure take me. My limbs locked, my eyes forced open, and the shadow was there, towering, its arms stretching like vines. The cold was brutal, freezing my lungs, and the whisper was a snarl. "Ethan, you can't break it. You made it." My vision shifted and I was Harold again, lying on the cot, watching myself. Ethan, hold the lantern, scratch the circle, say, "I'll fix it," before the smoke came. But this time I saw the lantern shatter, and the smoke cleared, leaving me, Harold, gone. I woke up gasping, the hammer in my hand, the lantern cracked but whole on the floor. The circle was still there, glowing brighter, and the notebook had new words. "You can't break it. You'll stay." My heart raced. I swung the hammer, smashing the lantern with all I had. Glass and metal flew, the light died, and for a second, the cold lifted. The shadow flickered. I thought I'd done it, broken the cycle, freed myself. I laughed, a shaky, crazy sound, and checked the phone. The recording caught the crash, my laugh, then silence. No whisper, no shadow. I felt light, like a weight was gone. But it didn't last. Around 2 a.m. the pressure hit again, harder than ever. My body locked, my eyes popped open, and the shadow was back. Bigger, its shape solid now, with a face. My face, but older, twisted. The cold was worse, like ice in my veins, and the whisper was a scream. "Ethan, you broke it and now you're mine." The circle glowed red, the broken lantern pieces reforming, glowing brighter than before. My vision blurred, and I was in the smoky room, Harold's body still, but now I was both. Ethan and Harold scratching the circle, holding the lantern, saying, "I promise to stay," as the smoke closed in. Then I was back, the shadow's face inches from mine, its eyes empty but alive. I woke up choking. The lantern whole again, the circle deeper, the notebook filled with, "You're mine. You'll stay." The phone recorded it. My gasps, then a deep, "You're mine," in my voice, fading into a laugh that wasn't mine. My stomach dropped. I'd made it worse. The shadow wasn't just haunting me, it was claiming me, and breaking the lantern had sealed it. I tried to smash it again, but my hands wouldn't move, like the shadow was controlling me. The cold was permanent now, and the whisper was constant, a low hum in my head. "You're mine. You'll stay." I couldn't give up. The next day I hauled ass to a pawn shop, trading my old guitar for a sage bundle and some salt, stuff I had read about online for banishing spirits. I figured if the shadow was Harold's ghost, maybe I could kick it out. That night, I lit the sage, spread salt around the circle, and chanted some half-remembered prayer from a forum. The smoke filled the room, the salt crunched under my feet, and for a moment the cold eased. I thought I'd won. The shadow flickered, its form wavering, and the whisper faded. Then it roared back. The pressure slammed me down, my body locked, and the shadow was there. Massive, its face, my face, grinning. The cold was unbearable, and the whisper was a howl. "Ethan, you can't run. You promised." The sage burned out, the salt scattered, and the circle glowed brighter, the lantern pulsing. My vision shifted, and I was Harold, dying, but also Ethan, promising to stay, the circle binding us. The smoke cleared, and I was back, the shadow's hands, my hands, gripping me, pulling me into the floor. I woke up screaming, the sage gone, the salt swept away, the lantern whole, the circle etched deep. The notebook had "You promised, you'll stay again," and the phone caught my scream, then a soft "You're home" in my voice. My heart sank. The shadow wasn't just Harold, it was me, or I was it. And the circle, the lantern, the promise, they were keeping us together. I tried to leave, grabbing my keys, but the door wouldn't budge, the cold holding me in place. I'm telling you this because I'm trapped. The shadows got me, and every fight makes it stronger. That lantern, that circle, that promise, it's all I've got left, and it's pulling me back every night. If you've ever felt like you can't escape your own mind, like something's keeping you prisoner, tell me. Because I need to know I'm not alone, before the shadow makes me stay forever. Ever had a nightmare so real you swore it was happening? Like you could feel every second but couldn't wake up? I'm Ethan, and I don't know how much time I've got left to get this out. If you've been with me, you know I'm stuck in this cursed apartment in Chicago, where a shadow's taken over my sleep. It says I'm Harold, that I killed him, and last time I tried to break the lantern and banish it, but it just got stronger. I'm breaking down, barely hanging on, and I'm telling you this because I need someone to hear me before I can escape again. I don't know if I'm saving myself or feeding the shadow, but I can't stop now. After that 7th night, I was a wreck. My skin was gray, my hands shook like I'd been shocked, and I hadn't slept more than a blink in days. The lantern, the photo, the notebook with "You're mine, you'll stay," scratched into it. They were my prison, sitting in that glowing circle like a trap I'd built myself. The cold was my constant companion, seeping into my soul, and the shadow's whisper was a hum in my head, even when my eyes were open. Ethan, you promised. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to end this, or it'd end me. I figured the circle was the lock, the lantern the key. If I couldn't break the lantern, maybe I could destroy the circle, break the promise I didn't remember making. I grabbed a kitchen knife, my hands trembling, and started scraping at the floor, trying to erase the scratches. The wood splintered, my fingers bled, but the circle wouldn't budge. It glowed brighter, like it was fighting back. The cold intensified, and the shadow appeared, its shape solid, its face, my face, older, twisted, staring down. The whisper was a growl. "Ethan, you can't erase it, you made it." My vision blurred, and I was Harold again, lying on the cot, watching myself. Ethan carved the circle, the lantern shaking, saying, "I'll stay," as the smoke took me. I woke up gasping, the knife in my hand, the circle untouched, the lantern whole, the notebook filled with "You made it. You'll stay." My heart sank. I'd failed again. The phone recorded it. My gasps, then a deep "You'll stay" in my voice, fading into a laugh that wasn't mine. I threw the knife, screaming, but the shadow loomed closer, its arms, my arms, reaching for me. The cold was everywhere, and the whisper turned into a chant. "Ethan, you are him. You'll stay." My vision shifted, and I was both. Harold dying, Ethan promising, trapped in the circle, the lantern glowing, the smoke endless. I fought it. I grabbed the lantern, ran to the window, and smashed it against the glass. The pane shattered. The night air rushed in, and the lantern broke again, its light dying. For a moment the cold lifted, the shadow flickered, and I felt free. I laughed, a wild, desperate sound, and thought I'd won. The circle dimmed. The whisper stopped, and I stumbled to the door, keys in hand. It opened. I ran into the hall, the cold fading, the shadow gone. I made it to the street, the city lights blurring, and collapsed against a wall, breathing hard. I'd escaped, but it didn't last. Around 2 a.m., the pressure hit, even outside. My body locked, my eyes forced open, and the shadow was there, its face, my face, grinning. The cold returned, worse than ever, and the whisper was a scream. "Ethan, you can't run. You're home." The street melted, and I was back in the apartment, the circle glowing, the lantern whole, the notebook open. My vision shifted, and I was Harold, dying. Then Ethan promising, the circle binding us forever. The smoke cleared and I was on the floor, the shadow's hands, my hands, holding me down. I woke up screaming, the lantern in my hand, the circle deeper, the notebook filled with, "You're home, you'll stay." The phone caught my scream, then a soft, "You can't wake up," in my voice, fading into static. My heart pounded. I'd run, smashed the lantern, broken the window, but it didn't matter. The shadow was me, or I was it. And the circle, the lantern, the promise, they were unbreakable. I tried the door again, but it wouldn't budge, the cold locking me in. The whisper started again, low and steady. "Ethan, you did this." I sat in the circle, the lantern glowing, the photo of Harold, me, staring back. I didn't know what to do. The shadow's face, my face, hovered over me, its eyes empty but alive, and the vision replayed. Harold dying, Ethan promising, the cycle looping. I grabbed the notebook, my hand moving on its own, writing, "Ever had a nightmare so real?" The words kept coming, the same as when this started, and the shadow laughed, a sound that filled the room. The circle pulsed, the lantern burned, and I felt myself slipping, merging with Harold, trapped in the smoke. I'm telling you this because I don't know what's real anymore. The shadow, the circle, the promise, they're all I am now. I don't think I ever left that apartment. I don't think I can. The whisper's still here, pulling me back to the start, and I'm too tired to fight it. If you've ever had a nightmare that wouldn't let go, something that made you question your own life, tell me. Because I need to know I'm not alone, even if I'm just a voice in the dark now.